and why it works and how it does, and ultimately understanding why you don't have one and why it sucks, we're going to be talking about 2 or 3 other companies. One of them, for example, is first eBay. eBay allows buyers and sellers to buy and sell stuff. When eBay brings on a buyer, they don't have to take extra time. Instead, the sellers go, wow, a buyer came on board. They might buy my stuff. And then when eBay brings on a seller, they don't have to take extra time. Instead, the buyers go, wow, a seller came on board. I might buy their stuff. Each time eBay brings on their 2 major types of customers, the other customer gets excited. They don't spend extra time trying to bring them on. Instead, they have this kind of reinforcement. Another example is Uber. When Uber brings on a driver, it doesn't take them extra time. Instead, when Uber brings on a driver, the riders go, wow, there's a new driver. When Uber brings on a new rider, it doesn't take any extra time. Instead, the drivers go, wow, there's a new rider. When Uber brings on its 2 major types of customers, it doesn't take Uber any extra time, and then the opposite customer gets excited. It's kind of like as Uber brings on more drivers, the riders get better service. As Uber brings on more riders, the drivers get better service. The same way with eBay. When people on eBay come on board as a buyer, the sellers get better stuff. And when sellers come on board with eBay, the buyers get extra stuff. This is a very Sam Oven style concept of flywheel. For the vast majority of billion-dollar businesses, they have a flywheel that works when they bring on more customers. As a concept and making it more applicable to you, when you bring on a customer, do your other customers get excited? Does it take more time away from you? If the answer is to, well, let's play this out. Like if you're a Facebook ad agency and you bring on a customer and your other customers get excited, you have a flywheel. And more importantly, a flywheel in the positive direction. If you bring on a customer and it takes more time away from you, you have a negative flywheel. Ideally, what you want to have is 2, I guess you could call them tiny flywheel engines. Again, this is just a concept that we're playing around with. Ideally, what you want every time you bring on a client, other clients get excited and it doesn't take any more time. This is ideally what you want. The mistake that every agency makes is this right here. This is probably you, the normal Facebook ads agency owner. I just brought on a client. Great, fine, perfect. You got paid for it. You're happy. And then I now have to spend X amount of time making sure this client is happy, which also means I don't have the X amount of time making sure my other clients are happy. Instead of spinning up like an Uber or an eBay or Amazon or Apple or Pied Piper, right? Instead, what you have is a decrease in service. you don't have more time, you're losing time, and every time you bring on a client, you actually push your flywheel in the opposite direction. And for everybody on this call right now, I want you to have a real deep introspective idea and figure out if you can answer this question. When I bring on a client, is it more work for me? When I bring on a client, does it take away my time? When I bring on a client, are my other clients happier? I want you to have a real deep introspective idea and communication to yourself and probably in this chat and say, when I bring on a client, is it more work for me? If it's more work, you have a flywheel in your opposite direction. It's literally pushing you down. Instead of pushing your business up, you're losing opportunity. So let me ask you this, and I mean it like you right now, everybody watching this. Answer this in the chat. When you bring on a client, is it more work for you? Put a yes in the chat or a no in the chat. When you bring on a client, is it more work or is it less work? Let me know in the chat. Yes, it's more work, or no. Yes, it's more work, or no, it's not any more work. And keep in mind, as you're writing in yes, it's more work for me, or no, it's not more work for me, provide like context to your answer and say, yes, it's more work. I have to onboard them. I have to talk to them on the phone. I have to build out the bot. I have to go ahead and create the landing pages, the thank you pages, run the customer research. I have to do all of this stuff. So when a client gives you an order form, you're no longer keeping your prospecting engine running. You're no longer keeping your sales engine running. Instead, the only thing that's running is your fulfillment engine, which pretty dang sucks. Because when you think of like Jeff Bezos and Amazon, when he brings on a client, it's not more work for him. It's more work for somebody else. He's jumping up and down because he's getting, I just got paid and I don't have to do any extra work. So the vast majority of a client, the vast majority of Facebook ads agencies will answer yes. When I bring on a client, it's more work for me. And what's even stranger, by the way, is this directly unincentivizes you to bring on more clients. Every time you bring on a client, it's more work and you hate it and it sucks. Your flywheel is moving downward. You literally have a business that is pushing you and your business down. Now that we've talked about, let me ask you this. When you bring on a client, does it take away your time? When you bring on a client, are you no longer keeping your prospecting engine running, your sales engine running? Is it taking away your time? I mean this right here in the chat. Put a yes or a no. When you bring on a client, does it take away time from you, from what you want to do, from your business, working on your business instead of in your business, or whatever the phrase that is? Every time you bring on a client, type a yes in the chat if it takes away from your time, or type a no in the chat if it does not take away from your time. And I genuinely, honestly believe that for the vast majority of Facebook ad agency owners on this live, when they bring on a client, it takes away their time. They cannot do the other things that they expect. That is unlike Uber, where when they bring on a client, it doesn't take away their time. In fact, their timing gets better. When they bring on a rider, when they bring on a car or a driver, their riders get better service. It does the opposite of taking away their time. It makes them better. When eBay brings on a buyer, their sellers sell their stuff faster. I'll bet you dollars to donuts, for the vast majority of people on this live right now, when you bring on a client, it takes away their time. Right here. When I bring on a client, it takes away my time, which means, by the way, you cannot keep doing the stuff that brought in more clients. There's only 8 hours of working a day, 12 if you work hard. But for the vast majority of people, including you right now watching this live, it takes away your time. And more importantly, when you bring on a client, are your other clients happier? Do they get better service? Do they get better ads? Do they get better results? Or do they get worse results? Do they get worse information? Do they get worse quality? Do they get worse service? Do you have a Facebook ad agency that operates like a 3-bay mechanic where if all 3 slots are filled, your clients have longer wait times? Let me know in the chat, a yes or no. When you bring in a client, are your other clients happier? Yes, if your clients are happier, and no, if your clients are not. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts, the vast majority of Facebook ad agencies will answer no. When I bring on a client, my other clients are not happier. And here's what's interesting. These 3 questions will help you determine whether or not you actually have a flywheel up or a flywheel down. If you bring in a client and it's more work for you, you're flywheeling down. If you bring in a client and it takes away more time, you're flywheeling down. If you bring on a client and your other clients are sad because of it, you have a flywheel down, which literally means as you spin up your agency, you have strategic business forces pushing you back down. This is the core idea and the core reason why you are fundamentally unsuccessful with your agency. You have a flywheel pushing down. Now, I'm just not here to talk about your problems. I'm here to talk about a solution. So here's how we create a flywheel that pushes up and not down. This is the difference that I am seeing and realizing with agencies that spin up fast, agencies that get sold for $3, $5, or even $10 million, agencies that bring on 100 clients and don't blink an eye, the type of individuals that we culturally and tribally admire saying, give us our secrets, they have accidentally or maybe purposefully built a flywheel that pushes up and not down. So their business and their flywheels, guess what? When they bring on a client, it's less work for them. When they bring on a client, it does not take away from their time. When they bring on a client, their other clients are happier. They have natural strategic and business forces that will forever and always push your agency up without regard to the quality of their ads, without regard to the quality of their hiring, without regard to the quality of their niche. They simply have structured their business in a way that it will go up no matter what. And here's what's crazy. I think I'm almost there. I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, I'm looking at what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And I'm realizing that when I bring on a client now, whether it's a 24-hour trial, a 10 booked appointment job, or a monthly or annual contract, it's no more work for me. I bring them on and I don't have to do anything else. When I bring on a client, it actually gives me time. I can now hire somebody else to run the processes and the assembly line, so I have to do less work. When I bring on a client, it adds to my time. And more importantly, when I bring on my client, my other clients, this is soon to be, not yet, will be happier because we're getting better results. We have a coaching program where they're teaching each other, and I can hire a world-renowned carpet cleaning person to come in and teach stuff. Now, when I bring on a client, my other clients are going, this is so great. We have better service because of it. I feel like I'm almost there. And for the vast majority of people, including you right now, the difference between, I'll just put this down, between a normal Facebook ad agency owner that struggles, loses time, and can't make it work, and a top tier Facebook ads agency owner that makes money, has time, and has happy as hell clients. The difference between the normal Facebook ad agency owner and the top tier Facebook ad agency owner is simply standard operating procedures, which I do want to say as a whole is the worst sounding. It just sounds horrible. Like, I don't like it. It's just, it feels non-human and non-person. So instead of saying SOP or standard operating procedures or systems and processes, I'm going to say a Trello board. I'm going to bring it down and make it easily communicated, a way to make it easily make sense, and something that you all can understand just like I could. And honestly, I'm only like 3, 4, or 5 months ahead of you guys. If you just watch these lunch and learns, you're going to blow right past me. Like, I mean, one of my IC students is doing like, I mean, I think he's doing like $30,000 a week now. Like, that's insane, right? And the difference between where he was and where he wants to be is the Trello board. All he does is he just watches these lunch and learns. And so it's technically SOP, systems and processes, but to make it easily communicated, like the tool, the thing that's missing is really a Trello board. And what I want to do is I want to walk you through how I thought about my agency processes or my agency steps. So I have a flywheel up. And again, this is really a combination of what I've been learning, whether it's like Sam Ovens or Joel Kaplan or Ravi or the SOP books that I bought. Like, this is really a combination and me trying to add to the body of knowledge. Sam Ovens talks about flywheeling in a much better sense of the word than I can. Ravi talks about SOPs. Joel Kaplan talks about SOPs. And it took like 5 or 6 times of me getting hit by this word to be comfortable with it. You're not there yet. So instead, we're just going to talk about the right way to think about agency steps so you flywheel up. And so one of the first things that I did is I went to Trello. And the way Trello works is you have, let's just call these steps, 3, 4, and well, these don't line up the way I want them to. So let's just do this, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. God, this lines up worse than the Star Wars plot. Okay, whatever. We're going to get there. All right, so these are like your agency steps. Let's do this right here. And I'm going to call it how you do and what you do when a client pays you money. Let's put this in the middle. All right, cool. So how you do and what you do when a client pays you money. And somebody asked a really strong question. And Stephen Aquino says, what if you don't have clients coming in? What if you do have clients coming in, but not enough to support a VA? I'm in this weird gray area. Stephen Aquino, I still think that going through this SOP process or how I do what I do will flatten out everything, build your flywheel in the right direction. And you don't need a VA to do this. You really just need to do this. And then once it's done, you can bring a VA on. Like IKEA didn't say, hey, we don't have any customers, so we can't make the manual to assemble furniture. That's not what they did, right? They said, we're going to make the manual and then bring on customers. And as those customers use the manual, we can get better at making the manual, better at the furniture and all that. So I think you really need to say, like, do I need a VA to do this? The answer is no. I just need to do this and have a better, more thorough understanding. So you don't need a VA to SOP or system or process. Effectively, all we have to do is answer this question right here, which is how you do and what you do when a client pays you money. And if you're in the IC, we've got the customer research, and then we've got the Facebook ad, then we've got the landing page, and then the thank you page. And then we've got notifications, and then we've got the soap opera sequence. Just like this. This is a first version of how you do and what you do when a client pays you money. And I do want to take a break right now and say, ladies and gents, you really should consider, like, beyond a shadow of doubt, 100% unequivocally getting a ticket to this coming Friday masterclass with Alex Zelinsky. It's going to be damn effing awesome. There's a link at the top of this chat. It has the agenda. It's $97. He usually charges anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for this. Just get your ticket. I've never steered you wrong yet. So this is like the first version of how you do and what you do when a client pays you money. And so, for example, with custom research, you have 5 or 6 steps. Facebook gets 5 or 6, landing pages 5 or 6 steps. It's no big deal. Everybody kind of understands how this happens. But we want to get more detailed. We want to go down even further and say, okay, what if they had no idea? What if I was taking a person that reads at a 2nd grade level and had to walk them through all of this stuff? What happened is I really had to rework how I was thinking and what I was thinking. And so what I've done is I have my Trello board on the right. and I'm going to walk you through my steps right here. So for example, let's say somebody comes on board and does let me close this down right here. And this is going to be specific to carpet cleaning clients now. And you can use this and take it and apply it to your agency right now. So let's just say, add as an example, the 24-hour trial for carpet cleaning clients now. Now, I do want to say I'm categorically, as a whole, against the idea of free trials, because when people use the term free trials, they say 30-day trial or 2-week trial. I don't think that should be the case. I'm totally okay with a 24-hour trial because you can get results really dang fast and you can move through clients and find what works. So I am against free trials because they usually mean like 2 weeks or a week or a long time. Totally okay with 24-hour trials. So let's just say I bring on a carpet cleaning client for a 24-hour trial, and they raise their hand and say, great, let's do it, I'm in. The first thing that happens is I send them a form. That's it. This is usually, let's do this, a Google form. And inside of it, I ask 5 to 10 questions I need to know. Those questions can include things like, tell you what, ladies and gents, good luck watching this on mobile. Like, this ain't going to happen. Let me do it like this. Google form, like, I'm going to ask them questions like, hold on. Maybe we can do this. That's not going to work. So I'm going to go on a Google form, write out the 5 to 10 questions. I do want to say I never know what those questions are. I usually just put 3 or 4 and then say, oh, I totally forgot to ask that, and then put it back in. Bring on another 24-hour trial. I forgot to ask a question, put it in there. And after a while, I come up with 5 to 10 questions, such as their name, email, number, Facebook page. Let's just say, I don't know, their email list. I'm trying to like not give you my Trello stuff. Let me go into my form. Serviceable area. Visible area. Hold on, let me bring it up. I can't show you the form, but I can probably translate. Their serviceable area, so like their city and their state. Some qualifying questions in case you want to turn them into like a paying trial or paying client later. Any bonuses they normally do. Their best performing offer, and they really never know what offer means. So you just say like, how much do you charge for a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a 5-bedroom, things like that. Number to notify when you get a lead. Any photos we should use. So this is literally my Google form that they just fill it out, and then great, fine, perfect. Everybody's jumping up and down. This took me, I would say, 3 to 6 days to transform my brain and figure out, okay, maybe there's like a way to have me not on the phone with these guys. And the way I answered that was actually just recording my calls and saying, okay, what should I have asked them? What do I want to ask them again? Send them the form. Forgot to add that, and all that stuff. And you end up with like 5 to 10 questions of all the stuff you need to start this 24-hour trial. So the first thing you do is you send them a form. And then Zapier has a good time, and you can zap this into, or set the Google form into your Trello board and all that stuff. We're not talking about that. But as soon as a client, I'm going to ask this to everybody right here. Let's just say a client is signed up for a trial. What's the first thing that you need to do to get their Facebook ads up and running, to get access to their things, to take that next step? And I'm literally asking, like, I'm looking for responses. Let's say that you brought in a client. What's the first thing that you need to do from a technical point of view and say, okay, this person has said they want to do a free trial. This person said, I want them to pay you money. They've paid me money. I need to request access to what? What is the next step in this 24-hour trial for carpet cleaning clients now? I've already sent them the form. I have to request access to what? Put your answer in the chat. And we're going to go through a pretty cool like experience right now. I'm not kidding. Just type it in. There's a purpose, and the reason why I'm asking this question is not like, oh, this is a dumb question. No, it's purposeful. Like, let's just say somebody has filled out the form to work with you. You have to request access to what? You need to request access to this thing. You need to take a next step. What is that next step? I want you to put that answer in the chat. fundamentally because we are going to see an example of why you cannot just copy and paste SOPs. You have to go through this exercise. You have to figure it out and find what works for you and your agency and take the next step. So we've got some questions, and I'm going to pause for a bit while you guys are answering this because I think it's massively important. Howard Tiano says, regarding the trial, it always takes a while to get approved and then learning time, so the 24-hour doesn't seem viable. Howard, you're not wrong in that line of thinking. I'm just saying 24 hours, so I have the permission to turn it off after like 48 or 36. And the 24-hour trial doesn't start until the ad is approved. So the 24 hours is really more like a like safety check rather than like holding them to it and things like that. So the reason why I asked that question earlier about like, what is this block right here? What is that next step? Because here's the mistake that everybody makes. You cannot simply copy and paste SOPs and expect them to be successful. Your brain does not work that way yet. You're not there yet. Instead of, I guess the analogy would be like, let's just use Arnold Schwarzenegger's workout plan and then expect to get a six pack. It doesn't quite work that way. You have to go through your stages and your phases. And half the people in this chat right now are saying you need access to their Facebook page, and the other half are saying that you need access to the Facebook account. And guess what, ladies and gents? Either one is okay. You just need to start asking yourself these questions. What's that next step? For me, and the way I'm working, I need to request access to Facebook page. That's it. Now let's get even more specific. And I'm learning this thought process from my current mentor, Joel Kaplan. Like, what are the steps that you have to go through to request access to a Facebook page? The VA has to log in, go to business settings, type in the URL, request access. That's it. Now, what's even more interesting is I don't think in terms of these checklists. What I've done is identified a step, got on a Zoom call with my VA or whoever, walked them through it like they were a second grader. Then we're good. Like now we don't have to worry about writing it down. I can always reshoot another video. This literally takes her 5 minutes, which is pretty dang cool. So let's say we've requested access to a Facebook page. Again, I want you to put your name, or sorry, put your answer in the chat. We've requested access to the Facebook page. Now what? What are we supposed to do next? Do we just sit there? Do we wait? Do we just work on something else? What is the next step in this stage of bringing on a 24-hour client, bring on new client? Like, I've requested access to my Facebook page. Now what? Again, treat me like a second-year-old. I haven't a clue. Type it in the chat. Third box, request access to Facebook page. What are we supposed to do now? And for people who are just joining, what we are doing is bridging the gap between agencies that are flywheeling down and agencies that are flywheeling up. And the difference is almost always SOPs, standard operating procedures, videos, systems, processes, and all that. So for everybody who's having like trouble with this like step and all that, that's fine. I get it. You don't need a good answer. But what am I supposed to do? Treat me like your VA. I've already requested access to, Miami Carpet Cleaning Facebook page. Do I just wait? What am I supposed to do, right? Chances are, by the way, just like Kevin says, I'm supposed to message the client and wait. That's fine. No big deal. I, by the way, have the same thing, which is just wait until you get access. Next up, we have create the ad account. After this, we have install ads. After this, we have install bot. These steps, this SOPing journey or SOPing process is unique to me. You cannot take this and then just all of a sudden like, okay, great, let's do it. Because you have to record the videos, because your accounts could be set up different, because your structure is different, because everything is surprisingly unique and somewhat different. Like the only one that isn't is like a franchise. And maybe you have a franchise agency you can buy into, but for the most part, I don't. And so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna show you my Trello board, because I genuinely believe that this was the missing piece in my journey and my agency. And ultimately the reason why my flywheel was down when it really should have been flywheel up. Oh, hold on. This, as simple as it is, took me way too long. And I'm so glad it did. Where's those dang boxes? Here we go. So I'm going to show you my Trello board. I'm just covering up client info now. So this is my Trello board, and it follows a very similar format and very similar process to what is going on here. My Trello board looks like this. And this, by the way, was a huge vulnerable point for me. It was massive for me to realize that I had trouble even doing it myself, much less walking a person through it. And all I did, by the way, was build one step at a time. I did not wait until the whole thing was finished. I did not stop the prospecting engine because the fulfillment engine wasn't working. I just let the ads run, got more people on my email list, said, hey, we're ready to take on one more person, push them all the way through, hit a roadblock, shoot an SOP, push them all through, hit a roadblock, make an SOP. And this is my Trello board right here. When I bring on a 24-hour trial, the Google Forms gets zapped into my Trello board. And then the client card is here. Cool, right? And then the VA has to drag this over and then follow an attached video that me and her shot, walking her through how to request access to a client business page. It takes 30 seconds once you do it right, but my SOP came out for like 10 minutes. I don't know why, but it's 10 minutes I'll never have to repeat. And now I don't lose time bringing on a client. I pay my VA X dollars and she does it. She literally just requests access and then puts in the Slack channel, hey, I requested access, and then emails the client from name at Cool Beans Digital. Cool. And then she checks in 24 hours and drags it over and says the client business page was approved. Awesome. Now I know. And then she goes ahead and creates the ad account. But this was like a whole huff and puff. I'll tell you that. Oh my God. Like she and I got on like 4 different Zoom calls for 30 minutes at a time, trying to record one where it worked well. It almost never does. It doesn't matter. This was a 45-minute Zoom trying to do this. It doesn't matter. It's 45 minutes I'll never have to do again. I don't lose time bringing on a client. How cool is that? Now it just cost me $6 an hour for a 45-minute Zoom to record it, but really it's like a 10-minute step. And she knows how to create the ad account. She's got my Amex info, ding, 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 done and done. Now I don't have to do that. Now she does. And guess what our next step and our next roadblock is? The installed ads account. You'll notice that nobody's over here because I haven't shot that SOP yet. I'm doing that later tonight. She and I are going to get on a Zoom. I'm going to walk her through on how to install the ads. We're going to copy and paste. Everything's going to be the same thing for everybody. And then she's going to do it for everybody else. That's it. Now I don't have to lose time. There's no more variables. It's streamlined. It's just like creating the Model 3. It's the same for everybody. Cool. And then we're going to have to install the bot. And there's no SOP there. And I don't know how to do that anymore. Or I don't know how to do that either way. And that's cool because we'll figure it out. Now I've got all these SOPs all the way through. For context, I'm going to show you my SOP folder. And this is something even the inner circle hasn't seen yet. So you can see share this tab instead. So you can see right here, this is me creating the SOPs. These are gross. These are bad. They are 5, 10, sometimes 45-minute videos that need to be clipped and cut down. It doesn't matter. As long as you are creating your IKEA manual for each step, identified by this right here, you are in business and you are building a flywheel up instead of a flywheel down. Now, you bring on a client, it's no more work for you. Now, when you bring on a client, it does not take away your time. This we'll deal with later in another session, but this is the biggest challenge right here. Jeff, whenever I bring on a client and I start working on my fulfillment engine, my prospecting engine stops. Elon Musk's Teslas aren't stopping their building journey because he gets more Teslas. That's not how it works, right? So like you aren't building the agency of your dreams because you aren't having Trello boards and SOPs, because you aren't doing this, because you aren't doing this. And here's what's crazy. I've got about 405 other carpet cleaners that have signed up. And I can just do an email blast saying, hey, did you want to do a 24-hour trial? Great. Request here. We'll talk for 10 minutes. And then if you're approved, I'll send you a Google form. And now my VA can go all the way up to creating the ad account. I didn't do anything else. And now I can sit down with my VA and create a copy and paste ad that'll work for X number of clients or customers. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure it out. But now she can do everybody all the way through. And then we'll do the bot. And here's what's even more fun. There are more steps to do this, and maybe we should just kind of ballpark them right now, right? Let's say we are at the install bot phase, right? And again, this is unique to me. It will be different for you. But let's just say we're trying to figure out how to add this right here. By the way, these are called lists. I didn't know that. These are called cards, the client cards. Asana has tasks and check marks and checklists that everybody likes, except for me. I just prefer this. And then there's another form right there. There's another form with a link to my master SOP drive. And then the VAs can like choose accordingly. Checklists never work for me. It's not my brain, but this does. But let's just say that we've got everybody installed on the bot, right? What are we supposed to do now? I'm just going to write it down according to how I think it's supposed to go. And then we're going to adjust and change it later. Let's just say Jeff needs to approve the ad. Jeff needs to approve the bot. Jeff needs to send a Loom overview video. And then client sends approval form. Something like that. I just made this stuff up. Like this is not supposed to be set in stone. This is you being a visionary and saying what happens next, what's on the other side of the horizon. When we land, what are we supposed to do? And you don't get to say, we'll figure it out. Just write down 4 or 5 steps, just so you have an idea. So let's say we get a bunch of clients at the installed bot level. Now what? Jeff needs to approve the ad. Okay, I can do that. It takes me 10 minutes. Now, by the way, I have a kind of a flywheel. Like I only have to approve an ad. It takes what, like 5 minutes. I'm just copying and pasting, but screw it. I could have VA number 2 needs to approve the ad, sometimes called account manager. All right. So whether it's Jeff or VA number 2 or whoever, like they'll just approve the ad, no big deal. And VA number 2 needs to approve the bot. Cool. And then, by the way, I'll send a Loom video. I'll do this right now. Hey, Mr. Johnson, this is the ad. This is the bot. This is according to the form that you filled out in the onboarding document. These are your prices. Everything here is according to blank, blank, and blank. And here's a test run of recorded test run of making sure that it works. And you're confirming if this is up to snuff. I need you to fill out this form right here. And we'll get your ads up and running right here. That's all you have to do. Like the whole philosophy behind having a flywheel up and having a Trello board up is so that you do less work, so that you gain more time. And now, by the way, when I bring on clients in charge of money, I can hire a VA number 2 instead of Jeff. When I bring on clients, they give me time. That's the difference between agencies that are struggling, that loses time, that can't make it work, and agencies that are top tier, that they are making an F ton of money. I'm talking like there's a guy in my building that's doing $800,000 a month. Like, it's because he has all these SOPs and Trello boards, and he's always focusing on his prospecting engine. And he's got a team of VAs that cost him effectively like $30 an hour. So he's making 800 grand a month, but it costs him $30 an hour to fulfill. Like that's a difference. It's this Trello board and SOPs. And I've kind of like missed stuff specifically because I don't want to break the level of confidence and trust that I have my current mentor. So I can't show you in more depth and in more detail. But this is the type of stuff that you need and should be doing. And this is probably the type of stuff that we'll be going over in Alex Shalinsky's upcoming masterclass with AskCon and how to SOP correctly. And probably in my IC changes in the elite program. Like this is the difference between agencies that suck and agencies that are awesome. And if at any time you answered in a way that pushes flywheel down, you have an agency that is destined to die and destined to lose. If you have an agency that flywheels up, you'll be successful no matter what. Like fundamentally at the core, no matter what. So this is really like a preview of how I'm thinking about my Trello board, how I'm doing what I'm doing, because I really want to push an industry forward and move people into a position where they're making so much money that they can live the life that they want to, so we can fight against like the sleaziness that comes with internet marketing, and more importantly, fight against and pursue a mission so that we can prove to the Harvards, Whartons, and Stanfords that we can make an F ton of money and not have to get into student debt and push an economy forward and industry forward.